In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you how we transformed our old laundry room into a mudroom. It leads in from the garage. It also used to open to the pantry, but we have since walled that off. So we are going to make this into a nice little mudroom. I have some shiplap here, and we bought this from Home Depot along with some 2x4s for the bench. So to get started on the bench, I think about 18 inches up, we just used a level to mark where we wanted the bench to go. We wanted to build the support for the bench to sit on out of some 2x4s. So we just put some adhesive on and put it in place to make sure it was nice and level on our lines. And then we screwed it into the studs to make sure it had enough support. For the seat part of the bench, we had some leftover really nice plywood that we used in our hood vent. If you want to see that video, I'll link it down below. And we had to actually cut it in pieces. We didn't have one continuous piece. And the reason why we did that is we decided to save money because this whole piece would have been $50 to rebuy. So already having this on hand and just having it left over from a project saved us a whole whopping $50 on this project. We cut a square support to go right underneath the seam. We're also going to put another one in there just to kind of divide it out and also give more support. Now to attach this, we cut some, I think they're 1x2s, just for extra support to screw on. We made sure they were nice and level, and I'm going to have Simeon actually explain how this is supposed to work and look.
These are going to go, I'm going to put one on each side to kind of give it some screw, 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 screw.
And then where does that go? Now that we know everything fits nice and perfect, we went ahead and removed it. We put some paper on the floor so we can go ahead and paint it. This is what the bench support looks like, and I think 2 of them will be perfect for supporting the weight of this bench. Now for paint, we primed all of the bare wood. I really wanted to stain the bench to give it a really nice white and wood stain look to kind of match our hood vent, our table, and some of the wood accents we have in the kitchen. But again, we couldn't use the bench in one piece, and having that seam there would have really affected the look of the stain. So instead of doing a stained look, we just went ahead and went with all white. That can always be changed later if we ever decide to. But anyway, so we got it all painted, primed, and then for the coat of paint, we just painted it with semi-gloss white paint that you would do for your trim. Semi-gloss makes it easier to clean, and then that way, you know, we can wash it up since it is going to be a mudroom and people are going to be taking their shoes on and off here. Here is how it's looking so far. Now we did not paint the bench yet. We just did the bottom part underneath just because it's a lot easier to paint it before we put it all together than to get under there and get it all painted. So now that that's done, we're going to go ahead and attach the bench to those support beams with just an air brad nailer. We're going to do it along the support beams and the sides and the back to that 2x4 that we screwed it into the wall. Now it's time to attach the shiplap. We just put some adhesive on the wall and placed the shiplap over it. And yes, the plumbing and electrical was all taken care of, so you don't need to access that back there. So we can go ahead and just cover that up since we dealt with that in the basement and it's all good to go. We're going to just make sure this is nice and level and attached with the air brad nailer again before we move on to painting it. For the top part, I just got this 1x4 pine board, and again, I wanted to stain it to make it all pretty and match the accent wood that we have in the kitchen. But since I wasn't staining the bench, we decided to just go ahead and paint this. This just went over the top really nicely and gave it a nice finished look. I also wanted to put some shelves up there over this pine board part, but we didn't want to spend the money on the shelving boards, and we were just trying to finish this project and get it done. All right, now that we've got all that in, we just used some wood filler to go ahead and cover up that seam and all of the nail holes that we attached this with, and then we sanded it down, and then we can go ahead and move on with priming and painting. We had to prime the pine boards just to cover up that wood because wood just soaks up paint so much. So we did a coat of primer on that and the bench. We also went ahead and just primed the shiplap. Even though it's pre-primed, we wanted to just really give it some good coverage. So we just primed that whole thing. And then again, like I said, when we painted, we just used the semi-gloss Valspar white paint that you just buy in a can. We didn't have it tinted or anything. It's just a very bright white. And I like the semi-gloss finish, and that way you can just wipe it up and clean it really easy with a wet rag. The flatter the sheen, the harder it is to clean. It's looking so good now. All we have to do is touch up the wall paint. We also did paint this back door and replace the hinges and doorknob with black oil rubbed bronze hardware to match these hooks. That was the finishing touch on here. It was probably the most expensive part of this whole project. These hooks, we got 5 of them on the wall, spaced evenly. They were about $6 each, but they're very large. It's kind of a double hook, so they can hold so many things. This project, oh my goodness, you guys, it turned out so beautiful. I love this area so much. I could put baskets under there, or we could just put our shoes under there, kind of dress it up a little bit, or leave it as is. But it just turned out so beautiful. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys next time.